Good morning. You join me on a rather cold, grey, windy Sunday morning, and what we're going to do is we're going to go and have a ride on all of the electric buses in Leicester. So there's been a massive push over the past year or two to bring as many electric buses into Leicester as possible, and there's a couple of different types, and we're going to go and ride on them all. We're not going to ride on every single bus because there's over 150, I think, at this point, which would be impossible. But what we're going to try and do is ride on at least one of each type of electric bus and ride it and rate it. So which will be the best electric bus in Leicester? Does it come anywhere close to the 36 in Harrogate? Spoiler, no it doesn't. Click up here or there or wherever it is for my video on the 36 from Harrogate Bus Company, which is one of the, if not the best electric bus in the UK at the moment for ride quality and also for comfort, passenger comfort. But these are electric buses that are sort of the backbone of Leicester's service. So these are running on high commuter routes in and out of Leicester all day. So they're not high spec ones, but let's see which is the best one. So let's go and hop on a bus now. Come with me and see what you think of them as well. As I walk down this path, I must resist the urge to nip in there for a McMuffin sandwich. Look at this, I'm walking past. What self-control. Okay, so a bit of a problem that we've run into is that none of the yutong buses are running today. So that's the Park and Ride, the Orbital and the Hospital Hopper. So we can't check them out. Oh, and also the Hop, the free bus that goes around the city centre, because apparently none of them run on a Sunday. Didn't realise that until just now. So that means we've only got the two different Wright Streetdecks, so the Arriva and the first one, and then also we've got the Wright Electroliner Kites, GB Kites or whatever they're called, also by Wright. So we're going to do is split this video into two parts. We'll do the Wright buses today, and then we'll come out on another day for part two and do the yutong buses. So yeah, come with me and we'll go jump on, we'll ride and review them. This is the 47. It had just pulled up at the stop, so I didn't get a chance to take a video of the outside before I jumped on, but you'll see plenty of them later in the video. This is a 2023 Arriva Streetdeck Electroliner, part of the Zebra government scheme with £11 million investment into electric buses across the four main operators in Leicester: Arriva, First, Centrebus and Roberts. These buses come with full audio and visual information screens, although you can't really see it on the video today, but this one was having real problems, with the screens having visible noise and interference every time the bus accelerated or went over bumps. I'm guessing either some loose or uninsulated wires somewhere, but it's not a great look for a bus that's just over a year old. As well as the glitchy info screens, you have a separate display to view the CCTV on the upper deck, which is quite handy, but does block the view out the front window, as you can see. From a charging perspective, we have a pair of two USB-A sockets on the back of each row of seats, cranked out about 2.1 amps of power from what I could tell, which is decent enough for a short journey. On the back of each of the seats is also a stop button, and must admit from the times that I've used these buses, there's always that someone accidentally knocks them. Legroom is fair for a commuter bus, but if they stick these on any of the longer routes, you're definitely not going to be a happy bunny. As for the seats themselves, Arriva have opted for their standard leather or fake leather blue moquette, and I must say I find these seats really uncomfortable. This is because there's just so little padding on either the seat or the back of the chair. On the top deck we have two skylights at the front of the bus. It would be nice to have some near the back, but I'm guessing that there's maybe some equipment above the rear that makes this not possible. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. The floor is a rather attractive wood effect vinyl throughout, and with the exception of the bit that's stuck to the front window, it appears to be clean and in really good nick. Being a Sunday morning and the traffic being relatively quiet, this bus stopped every timing point on the journey today, for several minutes at a time. However, on the plus side, it meant that I pretty much had the top deck to myself.
This is Arriva service 47 to Leicester via Wright Road. Next stop, Cottage Road.
Overall, I do like the Streetdeck Electroliners. They give a good ride quality, and apart from when they're crashing over some of the really poor road surfaces around Leicester, it feels really smooth. I think I referred to it in a previous video as it was like I was floating along, and I'd agree with that. I must admit though that I definitely prefer when one of these turns up rather than some of the older clapped out Enviro 400s that we can sometimes get. Now, if Arriva could just get the seats right, that'd be brilliant. Nipping downstairs to see if it's any different from upstairs, I realised why it was so quiet upstairs. Clearly everyone had decided to sit down here, so I quickly found myself a seat in the back. Traditionally this would be the warmest seat on the bus with the throb of the engine underneath, but not so on an EV. And it's weird that the middle seat on the back row is blocked off, both upstairs and down. Does anyone know why that is? Thank you, mate. Okay, so that's the Wright Streetdeck Electroliner done by Arriva. Took the 47 or 48, I can never remember which way around they are, into Leicester from Wigston. But let's crack on. The next bus we're going to catch is from St Margaret, so we're just doing a little walk from Haymarket bus station through to St Margaret's, past this lovely coloured fence. And also a really janky looking club. As I've said in previous videos, St Margaret's has only recently reopened in the past few years after being reduced to a shell and then completely rebuilt up, and it's actually not a bad little bus station, but we're reminded as soon as we arrive that we can use the hop service. Well, we'd be able to use it if it was any other day than today.
Hello, mate. Cheers. Oh, sorry, yeah. Thank you.
And we're now on First Leicester's version of the Streetdeck Electroliner. And whilst it's fundamentally the same bus as the last one, there are some subtle changes. And the first one you'll notice is the fact that we've got USB-A and USB-C. Nice. Although you do have to share it with your neighbour. And this is the 14A service from Leicester St Margaret's up to Beaumont Centre via New Parks and Glenfield Hospital. The next biggest change is the seats, and probably the best change. Whilst they have the same leatherish headrests, now in a slightly more boring grey colour, the big change is that we now have fabric seats in First's corporate colours, but more importantly, we have padding and cushioning. Whilst we're not talking luxury here, at least by the end of this journey I won't have a numb bum. As we swing a right up towards Frog Island, we pass by the site of the old Grand Central Railway Station, and we get a little glimpse of all the work that's going on there at the moment. We're also treated to a slightly different audio and visual system on this bus, and I actually much prefer this one as it shows the next few stops coming up, which is really good if you're not familiar with the area.
This stop is Dutton Street. This is first bus service 14A to Beaumont Centre.
Considering both this and the Arriva one are of a pretty similar age, the condition of this bus appears to not be as great, with a lot of scratches on the back of chairs, stained headrests and dirty floor. They just shouldn't allow the public on, and then they'd never have these problems, would they?
This is first bus service 14A to Beaumont Centre. This is first bus service 14A to Beaumont Centre.
First have another ace up their sleeve in that they have put the stop buttons on poles and not right in front of your knees where you can easily hit it by accident. I much prefer this, even if the poles do make it look a little bit more cluttered. So I think we've got a wait here of about 5 minutes as we're running really ahead of schedule. There's hardly anyone on this bus, which is great. And we're nearly at Beaumont Centre, which is where we'll catch our next bus from and where this bus actually finishes. This is the 14A, called the frequent 14 apparently. Weird. But yeah, we're going to get a different bus. This is the first liveried Streetdeck, so slightly different than the one we took. Same model, different spec interior. And there are some sort of changes which obviously we'll have pointed out during the video. I am saddened by the fact that these ones don't have any skylights though. Maybe it's because they know that we only ever have grey sky in the Midlands. But all joking aside, they do make the upper deck feel more spacious, so it is a shame that they don't have them on the first variant. As I head down to check out the lower saloon, I find out why the bus has felt pretty quiet. There's just been me and this lady on it. I have to say that overall I much prefer the interior of the first bus Electroliner. Maybe it's just the seats or the colours, but it just feels like a better bus. I'm nearly at the end of my journey now. Let's get off and try a different bus.
First bus.
And the lady's day out comes to an end. I love how she sang, "First bus."
Thank you, mate.
Beaumont Centre is served by a ton of electric buses, including the Hospital Hopper, the Orbital, the 14A, 25, 54 and 74. And looking at the timetable, it's going to be the 74 that I'll be getting back as my penultimate bus today. Taking just 15 minutes back to the centre, this will be a Wright GB Kite Electroliner. I only just found out why it's called the Kite actually, and it's because it's lightweight and aerodynamic, like a kite. Well, there you go. Every day is a school day.
Hello, mate. Not too bad. Cheers, thank you.
The GB Kite feels very much like a Streetdeck, just with no stairs. but I spot one difference straight away. You can sit in the middle on the back row. Maybe it's just this particular GB Kite, but the ride quality does feel worse than the Streetdeck, with the roads, holes and bumps definitely being felt through the seats. We are again treated with USB A and C on each row of seats, which is great to see, and we also have the exact same seats as we had on the first Streetdeck, which I'm happy about. The information screen on this bus is a much less sophisticated scrolling LED panel. However, it appears not to be working or not turned on for today's journey, but I have heard and saw it in use on other journeys, so it definitely does work. There is a really noticeable high-pitched squeal that's present all the time on this bus. I'm not sure if it's the inverters or the electric motor, but it's definitely there in the back of your head.
Yes, you're right, mate.
So that's it, I'm back at St Margaret's and I've tried all of the Wright electric buses in Leicester. Right?
Thank you, mate.
Well, not quite. Leicester has actually just had a few new 74-plate Wright Streetdeck Electroliners delivered with the new facelift. What do you think of the fronts? I feel like the old ones looked more friendly and these look a little bit more sleek, so I'm torn. The one in the layup bay though doesn't appear to be going anywhere quickly, so I trudge back over to the Haymarket. Maybe I can pick one up here. Lo and behold, the same facelifted Streetdeck follows me over and parks up here too. And look at that, the bus I need to take me home, the 48, is one of the new model buses. Almost like I'd check the timetable and plan that. So what exactly is the difference about this bus then? From what I can tell, it's just the front end that's been updated and had a new facelift. Inside there's just two changes, I think. The first is a second next stop display that is facing towards the accessible area, similar to the ones that they've got in TfL and on the new Harrogate buses actually. And then the second one, drum roll please, is USB A and C at each seat. Brilliant. However, sadly, they're still the same rubbish seats. Come on, Arriva, sort it out. Let's sum up part one of my look into the electric buses in Leicester. We've covered off today 3 variants of the Streetdeck and a GB Kite. I think it's fairly easy to say that the first buses are a better product in terms of the passenger comfort, with the fact that all their buses have much comfier seating. The interior feels a much nicer colour scheme, with the Arriva turquoise now starting to feel a little bit drab in my eyes. First also make a better job with their branding, with adverts about the benefits of the buses and tap on and tap off payments, etc. Arriva just seemed to stick a couple of stickers up on the roof. Arriva's Streetdecks, however, do have them lovely skylights, and it is a shame that First have cheaped out on putting them in. It's definitely a new bus smell on this bus. Lovely new leather from the seats, or pleather, or whatever it's called, but it does smell nice. I'll give it that. I would definitely say that the Streetdecks are definitely a better product from a ride quality perspective than the GB Kites. They also don't suffer with that annoying high-pitched squeal that I keep getting whenever I'm on one of them buses. But overall, this investment into Leicester's buses is very welcome. Whilst I'm sure there will be plenty of people sad at losing the distinctive diesel-sounding buses of old, I'm all for progress, and these electric buses are the future. I just hope that they've been built well enough to be here in 10 years' time. Thanks for watching, and if you'd be so kind to subscribe if you enjoyed this, that would mean the world. And of course, if you drop a comment below, I'll absolutely reply to you. And keep your eyes peeled for part 2 of this when I review the 3 yutong variants that we have running around in Leicester. Apparently, we're the only town in the UK to have all 3, so I bet you can't wait for that review. Anyway, thanks again, and have a great week.